And we are back. Keep talking about scams today. Next one is all forgotten PPP. That was big. Do you remember how much money did PPP total were given out? It was crazy. And it was forgiven too. Like they give you loans and they forgive you. Just do it right. And so many people, oh, you're gonna give me money, you're gonna forgive about it, and they still end up
200,
scamming.
$200
Like
billion. dollars.
how much?
$200 billion is what
$200 billion, and people still. How do you commit a fraud with something that given to you for free?
You leave the door open, they'll find it, right? What's PPP stand for again?
Paycheck Protection Program.
Thank you.
That's what it was.
Canadian knows it better.
I mean, it's once again, we opened a door. Here's free money if you want it. Oh my gosh, they took it and they didn't use it for what we want. Like, of course. All right. During COVID, the government gave out a lot of money to help small businesses survive. They were called PPP loans. Unfortunately, a lot of people took advantage. In St. Louis, the owner of CMT Roofing admitted she lied to get $1.7 million. Instead of payroll, she used the money for investments and other banned expenses. Well, as long as you made more than the fines are going to be, it might have worked out. But in Texas, a network of companies run by Empire Roofing took out $6.7 million. The loans were taken out under separate business names. It's suspicious, but when they were all counted together, Empire was too big to qualify. The loans were still forgiven. The company later agreed to pay $9 million to settle the case. In California, another one, a construction CEO named Joey Wayne Mackey allegedly stole more than $4 million. Prosecutors said he lied about payroll, moved PPP money through family accounts, and used it to buy office parks, apartments, and luxury items. If convicted, Mackey will get 30 years in prison and $1 million fine.
I remember covering quite a few of these where people like making I mean, what goes through your head when you make up social security number for employees? Like literally in Russia we have the very famous book. It's called Dead Souls. Like it was in 1800s where people were making up, like pretty much they would bury people anyway. Like it's exactly what we're doing right now with the PPP, what people have done. So you need to claim the employee, so you're gonna make up that name, and the name is does not exist, right? Like, or like social security fraud when the people is dead but someone is still getting social security. So it's old story with a new twist.
Do I think the government should step in and regulate more? No, never. But should they leave an open door for people to self-verify to get money, taxpayer money? No. Like in my business, if someone in my company, one of my employees wants to spend the company money, there has to be a reason, what solutions are going to solve, what value does it bring, right? That's what they're expected to bring. But our taxpayer money, which makes up half of what we make in a year, goes to tax. There's no control over it. There's no double checking. There's no boundaries like this. The money just goes out the door and we get no control. Adam, do you have issues like this in Canada?
We had the exact same problem. They did a very similar program, right? The United States writes the book, Canada reads it and finds a way to make it even more socialism, and then puts it into our own laws. Like we let Americans write laws, and then we just find a way to make it worse and then legislate it. But we had the exact same issue. And I know like we're only talking about the $200 billion in in kind of proven fraud. There's also like the gray area, right? Like there's all kinds of gray area. And the problem is that when you're shoveling money out the door and government employees are not they don't have much incentive to say no. And what we also saw, I mean, a good example is a building that actually one of my partners in another business owns. He owns a hotel. Government of Canada said, hey, we need housing for the vulnerable, which basically meant like homeless people and drug addicts. So they said, we want to rent your hotel, and then that turned into, well, you're going to have to bring the hotel back to normal. And the hotel was trashed, and the government was going to bring it back, but then they found there was fraud in the government over the problem. And because of the fraud in the government over the problem, that the people at the housing authority got fired. So then they were understaffed. His hotel is still not open. And he is still and he is suing the government now for all the years that it wasn't open. They were building a hospital in that area. They would have used his hospital for the workers, but couldn't. So now our government and essentially our taxpayers are going to have to pay for the government's incompetence, because even the people who were building the hospital said that they would restore the hotel. Like they would do the work. They were bidding on it. And because of the incompetence in the government, now like this is a case where he didn't do anything fraudulent necessarily. He like had the building rented out. It got trashed just like they suspected it would. The government was supposed to rehabilitate it. They got the bids. The housing authority people got, so like you have fraud on both sides of the transaction. And the thing is that you and me as taxpayers pay for it either way. If there's fraud on the
I have a
government side, we pay. If
I
there's
have a
fraud on
question for both of you. What do you
yeah.
think is a reasonable punishment? So in this story, if convicted, Mackey could get 30 years in prison and $1 million fine. So if you look at countries like China, who allegedly almost, fixed the problem of corruption because they have a death sentence for corruption, right? Like if your government employee steal the money, I think they execute like a couple thousand people, like some crazy amount, right? Do you think it's a punishment problem? Because, we've talked about contractors committing fraud all the time. Contractor steals 10, 20, $100,000 and slapping, like nothing really happens.
I put this, so I have a puppy at home, right? And if I leave a pillow sitting on the ground, that puppy will think it's a toy and it will shred it apart. And when I'm there, I can yell at it and keep an eye on, say, don't. But when I leave or turn my back, that puppy will do it because that is just nature for it. Same thing with all this money. If we leave an open door, if we leave that pillow of money sitting on the ground, the second we look away, an intruder will come. So we can keep an eye on, we can add regulation like China. We can add these social scores, all this surveillance, right? Like they add all these layers of like, we're going to catch everyone. But the second there's a corner where your camera doesn't see behind, there's something underground that we don't know about, those criminals will come to play, right? There's only so much you can do to block them. The main thing you need to do is pick the pillow up and put it back on the couch. Don't leave it sitting on the ground. Don't leave an open door of money for people to walk in and grab.
You know what I love about the United States? You know who prosecutes half of these cases financially? CIA. I love that fact because when you deal with the government money as CIA, it's always fascinating me. Like why? Like you almost think like, oh, it should be like IRS, but IRS does not prosecute. But all the wire frauds, international, because it's national security. You deal with everyone.
The Secret Service will come in and handle a lot of that stuff too.
Exactly, Secret Service. Yep.
Government money shouldn't be messed around.
The punishment needs to be severe, but there also needs to be a bit of a cultural shift. Like keep in mind, y'all like decided to go to war with the greatest superpower on the planet over a 3% tax. Now you just blindly pay a 50% tax and you're like, you know what I mean? Like with the government is a terrible allocator of capital. You give Elon Musk 180 million when he sells his pay program, right? And PayPal, and then he turns that into $600 billion in worth, right? And what happens when he tries to help? They burn his cars, he gets destroyed, his public image is fractured, his shareholders are bailing on him. So like the smartest allocators of capital, if they even try and solve the problem, we tear them apart. There has to be a cultural shift in our countries where the government is not responsible for solving your problems. There's a really good church called 2819, but the pastor, he says like they're all about like empowering people to not rely on the government. Like if you have problems, come to the church. And if you have excess in your life, bring it to the church. Like he's like one of the biggest things he says is like he's just trying to say like if you have excess, bring it to the church and give it to the church. If you don't have enough, come to the church and ask for it, because he wants to see the communities take care of each other as opposed to us just thinking, no, the government should solve that problem because they like, what was it? Ronald Reagan said, right? He said, the most dangerous words are, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. Like they don't allocate capital properly because it ain't their money. Like they don't understand the difference between $1 million and $1 billion because they're all paid $125,000 a year and they're all third string players in life, and they're usually like some benefit of nepotism or like just like the bureaucracy benefit, or like they went to the same college, whatever you call that, like when they're all in the same like the frat kind of thing. So like nobody there has a consequence for poor allocation of capital. So it's not even the fraud, it's just like you suck at your job and you can't be fired because you work for the government. Like so it's not even the biggest crime or the biggest cause of the problem isn't the fraud. It's a small percentage, the people who commit fraud. The biggest problem is just general incompetence.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those like, throughout these stories, like I've heard so many things, like people bashing the U.S. government, and don't get me wrong, they're not perfect. But the thing is, anyone in the U.S. can get a passport and go anywhere, right? Except for Adam, who can't get in or out of Canada. But like for the general population, right? We could move anywhere in the world, especially being a U.S. citizen. You have access to move almost anywhere internationally. And the reason everyone stays is because like you kind of weigh out the pros with the cons. You're like, yeah, they're really sloppy with their money. Yeah, like people steal from them. But then again, I can also make millions of dollars. I have, the best military in the world protecting us, right? So you kind of have to weigh it out. It's like, I think everyone that stays in the U.S. agrees, like, we know our government's messy, but as long as they're messy but still ahead and still pushing, we'll take that. I think we all want it to improve, but I don't think there's the incentive there yet where people are like, the fraud's so bad, we're going to leave the U.S. We're going to stop paying taxes here. We're going to move it out to other countries because look at all these billionaires. Very few of them, they'll move state to state, but very few are pulling out of the U.S. altogether because the capitalism nature of America is so strong. You want business here. You want to make money here. You want to do it here. So you deal with knowing that you're going to pay too much taxes and it's going to get wasted because the opportunity is still better than anywhere else.
It's that social suicidal empathy of the voting public that causes the problem, where it's like, oh, the government can solve it. We've got so much. The government should solve every problem in the world. And it's like, no, like the thing that makes America great is the personal accountability, the personal responsibility. And, there's so many programs already in place to help you. You don't need any more programs. You should be cutting programs left and right because you're literally at a point now where you can't afford not to. You know what I mean? Where you're spending more on debt payments than you are on like the military, and America loves its military, right? Like if you're spending more, there has to be some fiscal responsibility and budget balancing going on.
Imagine what kind of life we would have if people just work and stop committing fraud and stop looking for hangouts and trying to get creative to get something that they're not entitled to. I feel like everybody's income would double and we as a society would just be ahead of the world even more than we are. Crazy. We have one more story when we come back after one more break, and that one is about another topic, big rigging. Don't go anywhere.